but I always carry the toolbox along with me because I never knew when I was going to have to stop it. You become the example setters. I know that most of you would love to have your teachers and your parents in your classroom for just one day, right? Just one day to have your parents in your classroom and your teachers in your classroom. I challenge you to make your future your classroom. We want you to have nice things, and we want you to be as successful as you can possibly be in your future. But teach us. Please, we need so desperately in our society today, teach us that success is not dependent on things. Scripture says, what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? I would ask you tonight, what will it profit you if you gain everything and lose your family? What will it profit you if you gain everything and don't have any friends? What will it profit you if you gain everything and lose your soul? Dr. Robert Smith tells of a time when a man came into his office, a very successful businessman in the eyes of the world, came into his office and sat down and just crumbled and began to cry. And Dr. Smith knew him well and began to talk to him and asked him to please tell him what the problem was. And he said, I'm a failure. I'm a complete failure. And Dr. Smith was extremely surprised because this man had he was very successful in the business world. And he said, after he had settled down, he said, well, tell me, why do you think you're a failure? What were your aims in life when you began? And he said, I want to tell you, I started from nothing, Dr. Smith, and my mom lived in a shack, and I just determined that when I got out in the business world, I was going to make sure that my mom had a nice place to live. And I was going to make sure that I didn't have to live like that. And I was going to make sure that my family was well taken care of. And I'd done all of that. And then today I walked in the house and my wife said, I'm going to get a divorce. And I don't understand it. And I know that I'm a failure. And Dr. Smith looked at him and said, no, according to your goals in life, you're not a failure. You said you were going to get your mom a nice house, and she lives in a really nice house over there. And you said that you weren't going to have to live like that, and you don't. You're very wealthy, and you have a lot of things, and your family doesn't have to suffer. But he said to Dr. Smith that I know I have all of those things, but I'm a failure. Because I haven't given my wife the one thing she really needs, and that's me. I challenge you, young people, teach us that success is not dependent on things. We want you to have all the education possible, all the education that you can have. We want you to prepare well for the future, but teach us that an education without responsibility is really no education at all. Teach us that in all we can learn everything that the world has to teach us, but unless we handle it with responsibility, that we're not educated at all. Teach us that instead of teaching the world how to avoid the consequences of doing wrong, teach us how to avoid doing wrong. Teach us that morality and just saying no is worth learning about. Teach us that the mixed up, muddled up world that we see out there really doesn't have the answers, but the answers are there. And it's your challenge to teach that to us who have seemingly failed so miserably in teaching that to you. really want you to have the best homes and families that you can possibly have. So teach us what commitment is all about. Teach us that love is not love at all without commitment. Teach us that commitments are not always easy to keep, but they are always commitments that we have made. Teach us that love doesn't stop in the hard times, that it becomes real love during the hard times. And that what makes that possible is commitment. And teach us that we keep commitments simply because we have made them, if there's not even another good reason. Young people, we need examples to follow today. And so I challenge you to be our example. But let me share with you that there's really only one way that you can give us that example. There's only one way that you can be an example that we really need to see and that we really need to hear. And that's by following the one who gave the ultimate example. The one who taught us how to really enjoy life. I challenge you, as Paul did, to be our example by following closely in the footsteps of Jesus Christ. The one who gave us the example that I talked about tonight. Paul said that if we don't learn how to be that example, if we don't learn how to follow these guidelines, that our end is destruction. We can see the signs along the way. Our end is destruction. I challenge you tonight, young people, to teach us how to change.